This is the tutorial for the RNA transcription video on the Explain Everything application. So we're going to start by opening up the Explain Everything application, creating a new slide. I can click any color template, it doesn't matter. The first thing we should do before continuing is save the app. The way you do this is you select this button down here. On yours, it may appear slightly differently. It will still be a down arrow. You can type the project name. I chose RNA transcription, and then you hit save. So now we're going to start creating the actual Explain Everything video. The first thing we need to do is create all of the objects that are going to play a role in our video. That include the DNA strands, the enzymes, as well as those free nucleotides that will get added to make the RNA strand. So we're going to start by selecting the home button down here. And once we do that, we can go to the DNA replication video and select the inspector tool here. Then you select the one and the other. And you hit copy. Once you hit copy, you can go back home. Once you go home, you can go back to your RNA transcription video. Once you're there, you select the inspector tool and paste. Once you've pasted, you can use the hand tool to move the objects where you want them to be. And now we have our DNA strands. Now there is a different way to make DNA strands where we can draw them from scratch. So you want to go to this tool down here, the magnifying glass. We're going to zoom out. You can pinch the screen to zoom out. We zoom back in somewhere else. And so what we do is we select the drawing tool. Now if you select it once and then select it again, you can choose the width of your line. Then you can choose the color of the line. I already have it preset to black, but you can have it be whatever you want it to be. And once you've chosen the color, now you can actually go ahead and draw your line. Remember that as long as you're drawing and you stay in the drawing tool, then it will be a single object. So that now I've left the drawing tool and gone to here, and it is now an object. I cannot edit this object anymore. I can make it bigger or smaller, but I can change the position, but I can't do anything else to it. As you can see, I can move it around just like that. Your other option is you can draw the DNA strand with the outline like this, and if you don't want to fill the letters in because it's too small, you can draw the outline like this, and you can go to the zoom tool, zoom in, and you can go back to this tool, the drawing tool. You can fill the letters in. Go back to the zoom tool to pan. Back to the drawing, fill the letters in. Remember to match the top and bottom letters if you're doing it this way. The one issue when you do it this way is that you've now created several different objects. Every time you went back to the magnifying glass, that zoom tool, the object you had been drawing was done. So now you have several separate objects. If you try and move them, they're going to move independently. What you need to do now is group the objects. So you need to go to the inspector tool and select each of those objects you made previously. And so as you saw, I selected this one, and then this one, and then this one, and I hit the group button up there. And now it's one object, and they're both their own objects. Now I've shown you the two separate ways you can create strands of DNA. We're going to go ahead and delete one of them since we really only need one. So I'm going to zoom out. Once I've zoomed out, you can see, if you go to the hand tool, they're all their own strand of DNA. And now I'm going to go ahead and delete a couple of them. The way you do that is you go to the X tool here. And as you saw, when you tap on something, once you got the X tool selected, you hit the X in the upper right corner and it goes away. Now I need to go back to the X tool again and repeat that process. So now we're going to create the other shapes we need to make this happen. I'm just going to align the DNA real quick and then go to the drawing tool here. I want to be able to see through these shapes, so I'm going to go down to the colors here. I want to make sure it's the right color. I want this one. I'm going to change the opacity so now I can see through it. I'm going to draw one of my enzymes. I'm going to make this the transcription factor. I'm going to go back, so now it's its own object. You can move it around. Go back to the drawing tool. Choose a different color. I'm going to make this one red. Change the opacity again. It's very important that your RNA polymerase is opaque so that way you can see the nucleotides below it. The other way you can do this if you want it to look a little bit neater is you can create shapes. So use this tool here. You can select the color down here. I got rid of the border, I got rid of the shadow. I don't really care if you do that or not. But then you can just kind of over here, create an RNA polymerase, and then you can do the same thing to create a transcription factor. So now we have two transcription factors, two RNA polymerases. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of one of each because we only need one of each. So I'm going to go ahead, take those enzymes, and put them out of the way for a little bit. And now we're going to go and create our nucleotides. Go to the drawing tool. I'm going to make these a different color. I'm going to put the opacity all the way back up. And you can draw them one by one. Remember that when you are drawing them, you draw one and then you go back to the hand tool. Every time you draw one, you've got to go back to the hand tool so that it's its own object. You can see they're all moving independently here. If they are not moving independently, it is likely because you either have auto group on, so if you select the pen tool, then select it again, you can turn auto group off. That won't ungroup them, you need to do that from the inspector tool. Also, if you created them all at once without going back to that hand tool, then they are one object and they are stuck together. You need to redraw them, where you'll draw one of them in here with the pen tool, go to the hand tool, make sure you can move it, go back to the pen tool, draw the next one, go to the hand tool, so on and so forth. But as long as you could do the pen tool, you draw it, go back to the hand tool, then you have created that object that should move independently of the other objects. Now we're going to go ahead and make sure all of these are the right size. You can just pinch them to adjust their size, and now I'm going to line them all up top like this. Now you can see that we have all of the pieces necessary for this process to happen. We have strands of DNA, we have the transcription factor, we have the RNA polymerase, we have each of our 4 nucleotides. So now I'm going to start getting things organized to begin recording our process. Moving the transcription factors. Now what we need to do is we're not going to need just one of each of these nucleotides. We're going to need a few of them at least. So if you go to the inspector tool here, select them all. Once you've selected them all, you go to duplicate. And you can hit duplicate as many times as you want. Because we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 nucleotides, probably if you hit duplicate 4 times, 4 or 5 times, you'd make plenty of these nucleotides that you can create several RNA strands. So go ahead and hit duplicate several times. And once you've done that, you've created several of these nucleotides layered over each other. The last thing we need to do to start the process is to take the RNA polymerase and bring it to the front. So you hit the I button, hit the RNA polymerase, arrange, bring to front, and now that's going to be in front of everything. That's going to be very important to make sure it's in front of these nucleotides when you're making your videos. If you bring it to the back, and I put it in front of here, and then I try and move it again, I'm just going to move that. So you've got to, again, it's that, arrange, select that, bring it to the front. And once you've done this, we're ready to start our process. Now we're ready to create the video. The first thing you need to do is go to that magnifying glass tool, and you want to size everything so that it's not too big, not too small, everything's in the frame. If you need to move some of these, you can go ahead and do that. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and hit the record button down here. Make sure you're on the hand tool up here, and your video will start recording. Don't worry about that, it was just saying I didn't have my microphone on. So now I'm recording. And so as long as you're in the hand tool, you can have the RNA, the transcription factors come in, RNA polymerase goes over there, unzips the DNA strand, and then T pairs with A pairs with U, C pairs with G pairs with C, C pairs with G, T pairs with A, C pairs with G, A pairs with U. At any point during this process, you can pause it or stop recording, and now you can go back and edit it over here. So I made a mistake earlier on, so I click here, I go back to where that mistake was. So see, I tried to move that G all the way back, you can see everything there, go forward. Okay, so there's my mistake. So what I can do is I notice that it's this and this motions are the ones I got to get rid of. So I hold down on that, hit delete, delete that, hold down on this one, hit delete, yes. And now it's like it never happened, so that you can make individual mistakes and cut those out after the fact. If you look, keep going, you can see that everything's fine. So now I go to the end. So remember that part of RNA transcription is that the entire RNA strand leaves the DNA altogether. So I created each of these nucleotides as an individual object. So what I need to do next is group them together into a single object. So you do that by hitting the inspector tool here. And I want to tap on all of them and hit group. This is in the way, so I can actually move it over here. If I hold down there, I can drag it this way. I realize this is in the way, so what I'm going to do is hit record briefly, and then move it over here. So I hit record. Move it this way. I can pause it again. Go back to the inspector tool. Move the inspector tool back over here. And then I can include all of these and hit group. Now they're all grouped, so I can hit record again. And now I zoom out, hand tool, and I can move them all together where they need to go. Now I zoom back in because in the directions it says you need to show this happening at least twice. So I keep recording and just repeat the process like we did last time. And see, I made a mistake here, and so instead of fixing it after the fact, you can also open up this, go to where you made the mistake, and hold down on the red line and delete all clips to the end. And so then I can just from here pick up where I left off and keep going with the A, G, U. Bring the RNA polymerase back over there. I pause it. I group them all together. I hit record again. And now I zoom out. I made a mistake there. I meant to go to the hand tool. So what I'm going to do is stop the recording. Open this up. Go to where I moved it. And I can again hold here, delete clips to the end. And now it's like that never happened. I'm going to hit record again, making sure I'm in the hand tool this time, and then I can show that moving up there. Now I show the transcription factors and RNA polymerase leaving, DNA closing, and I can stop the recording once again. So now your video's done. The next step is to look over your video. So you can do that by pressing the play button right over here to see what it looks like. This is the video from the beginning. You can open up this here, and then you can speed up the process by scrolling like this, making sure everything's happening the way it's supposed to. I've already showed you how to edit it. So that's the entire video there, but if you can see, it's 2 minutes and 15 seconds long. So the next step is going over how we cut that video down so that it fits into that minute 30 time limit. So the way you do that is you've got to find all of these blank spaces where nothing's happening and get rid of them. So now I'm going to go show you how to cut out time from the video when it's not actually showing what's happening. It's just the waiting time in between. So the way you do that is you get the red line where you want it to be. So right now I've got it at the very beginning. Look, there's nothing happening throughout this entire thing. You hold down on the red line right there. And you select Set Mark. Once you set the mark, you go to the end of that empty space, you hold down again, you set the mark again, and you delete and compact. And you keep doing that for all of these spaces where you set a mark at the beginning of the blank space, you go to the end, delete and compact. And so you keep doing that for all of these larger blank spaces, and eventually you're going to get the video down below that time limit. And so now I'm looking and I can see it's below 1 minute and 30 seconds. Once you've done that, you can review it one more time, make sure you didn't delete anything that was important. I'm playing through it in real time right now. And once you review it, and you're confident it's what you want, it's your final product, then you can go ahead and submit it to Canvas. So that looks pretty good to me. So now what you want to do is save it. So again, you go down there. I saved it. So now you're going to upload the video to Canvas. So yours will look different than mine, but somewhere down in this corner, there's going to be a box with an up arrow. You select that box, and you'll get a screen that looks something like this. Now, what you want to do is upload it as a video file. If you upload it as a PDF or an image, it'll just give you whatever image you're looking at now. It needs to be a video file. Up in the top left, of your screen, somewhere in here, there'll be a little sliding tool that determines whether or not you're including just one slide or all slides. You want to make sure if you have multiple slides, you're only including the slide where the video is actually recorded. If you include those other slides, it'll have about 10 seconds of each of those, even if there's no recordings, and that will add to your video. Once you do that, you want to save it to your camera roll. So I'm choosing the slide there. Yours will look different again. You hit the export button. It may take a few minutes. And once it's in your camera roll, you can upload it to Canvas directly from your camera roll using the Canvas app. So you go to the Canvas app, you go to the assignment, you go to turn in the assignment, and then from that page, you can upload it from the camera roll. I'd review the video in your camera roll before you upload it, making sure, again, it's 1 minute, 30 seconds or less, making sure it's the correct video, and also make sure you submit it to the RNA transcription assignment, not the DNA replication assignment. If you have any other questions or need any more help, please don't hesitate to email me or send me a message on Canvas. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can today.